How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I'm Ethan or Koder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. If you guys do want access to the private repository for this project, what you need to go ahead and do is subscribe to the repository to your membership of the channel, and then that will go ahead and unlock you a form where you can go ahead and submit which repository you want access to, and I'll get you that access. Now, with that being said, y'all, let's go and hop into what we're working on today. Last episode, we went ahead and worked on the basic CRUD functionality for creating, grabbing, and things like that with communities. In this episode, we're going to go ahead and continue working inside the backend, trying to go ahead and do some of the more advanced stuff like grabbing the post, grabbing the users, and things like that. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop into the backend code and get to work and see how far we get today. So once again, here in the backend, we want to go ahead and start out by creating a new DTO to send some data back. Let's go ahead and space JC. This is going to go into DTO, and then this is going to go ahead and be our community post. And actually, I want to make sure that this is actually the right name for it. It is DTO. Let's go ahead and say space JC. Go ahead and put this in DTO. It's going to be called community and post. We need this before we start on the service. So inside community post, it's going to have a private and post. Let's make sure we import this. So space CA, import that. Have a private, and this one's going to be community, and go ahead and import that. Community, like so. And I did not spell that right. Looks better. Let's go ahead and do our constructors and stuff. So go ahead and do constructors, one with nothing, maybe one with everything. Okay, let's go ahead and do our getters and setters, and let's also go ahead and do a toString. And there we go. So there is our basic DTO. Looks fine. Base CF, there we go. So that looks good. So now we can go ahead and start developing some of the more advanced methods inside of our services here. So let's hop into the community service. So inside our community service, the first thing we do is we'll go ahead and get the communities for discovery. So say public, and here we're going to say list of community. Inside here, we're going to say get communities for discovery. There we go. And then here, this is going to say list of, if I could type, that'd be cool, communities. There we go. List of communities, all communities. Okay, and this is equal to community repository dot find all. Now, there's probably a more efficient way to do this, but it is what it is. You can say collections.shuffle really quick and shuffle all communities. So we're going to randomize the order, and we're going to say return all communities. Like I was saying in the previous episode, if we were like being more precise, this would not be random. This would be based off of users' data and all that stuff. But we don't have years of users' data and all that stuff, so we're just going to return some random post to display. Next, we need to go ahead and make a private function. I'm actually going to set this down here. So private, and this is going to go ahead and return a list of communities. And this one, actually a community post. And then this one is going to be map communities to community and post. So this is going to be for the discovery page once again, because whenever you're showing like explore, this kind of different post, and it says like what the community is. So here we're going to have a list of our communities. Like so, and then communities, and I'll show you guys kind of like what's going on as we get farther and farther into working on communities. We're going to say list of community post, go and import that. All post is equal to communities.stream. We're going to go ahead and stream the communities. We're going to say flat map. We're going to go ahead and flat map community, and we're going to get all of the posts from the different communities. Community.get community post. So we're going to take the list of all the communities that we have here, and we're going to get all the posts and combine them into one map, or one list, I guess. We're going to go ahead and stream. We're going to stream that flat map. We're going to map each post into one of our community posts. Community.set, I don't know why we do this, community post, and then this is going to be a new hash set. And this might be old here. I don't remember what the point of this is. We'll see here. Oh, you know what? It's because we don't want it to infinite loop because we have posts inside of a post, whatever. Return a new, and then community post, and then here of our post of our community. This is basically just an infinite loop protector here because we already have the community dot, and then collect, and then we'll say collectors dot to list. Doesn't seem happy with us, so we'll see what we did here, and then we will go ahead and say collections collections.shuffle, and we're going to go ahead and shuffle all post. Then we're going to go ahead and return all post. So let's see what is mattered here. Communities, did I spell something wrong? All posts equal to communities.stream. Make sure we didn't spell communities wrong. One of these, communities.stream, I did not. So let's see here. What did I typo? So it looks like this goes like this, and that goes like that. And then we need to go ahead and collectors like this. So it looks like we needed to stream this like so. There we go. And then we collect it like that. There we go. I just kind of had some stuff incorrect there, or like the spacing, whatever. But now we have this way to basically map our post to be displayed on the Explore page to kind of see different posts that are from different communities. So now what we can go ahead and do is come back up here under our Get Community for Discover. We're going to say a public, and this one is going to be a list of community post. And this is going to be Get Community, community post for Discover. And then in here in Discovery, there we go, we're going to go ahead and say list community. We're going to go ahead and get some random communities. So random communities, communities is equal to this dot get all communities, or get communities for Discovery. So we're going to go ahead and get some random communities. We're going to say list of community post is going to go ahead and be equal to all post equal to map community post. And then here we're going to say random communities. We're going to get some random list of communities. We're going to go ahead and get the post, and just make like a big list. Return all post dot sublist 0 100. So what we're doing here, this get all community for Discovery, we're just getting all the communities out of the database, shuffling them and returning them. Then we're going to go ahead and take these random communities and map their post into community post. Once again, that's like all shuffled and everything. Then it's going to go ahead and return the top 100 posts from that shuffled list. And that's going to be how we basically create our Explore page / our Discovery page for communities. Again, it should be based off of user preferences, all that. We don't have all that data. So that's why it's not like that. Next, we need a public list of community post, again community post, and then this one's going to be get community post by type and subtype. So if we go ahead and are searching by specific type, whatever, we have our community and type, go ahead and bring that in, and then let's call this type, and we'll have our community subtype like so, and this will be subtype. And let's make sure we do this properly. There we go. So list community, community like so is going to be equal to communities equal to community repository dot, and this one's going to be find all by, and then community type. We'll go ahead and pass in that type like so. So that's going to be like the first layer. Then we need to go ahead and check to see if the subtype was also set. So we're going to say if not subtype, subtype, maybe I can't type, subtype dot equals, and then this one's going to be community, can't type, subtype dot none. So if it has a subtype, we're going to say communities dot, and we're going to go ahead and say stream. We're going to go ahead and filter out the ones of the subtype that we want. So filter community and lambda community dot get, and then this one's going to be community subtype, and then equal to, or dot equals, and this one's going to be subtype. So we're going to go ahead and get those ones out, and we're going to go ahead and collect. There we go. And then it's going to be collectors dot to list. So then we're going to go ahead and update that. I'm going to say list of community post, there we go. And then this will be post is equal to map community post, and then we're going to go ahead and say our communities is already set up, and we'll go ahead and return post dot, and then sublist once again, sublist 0 100. So once again, just to walk through the logic here, we go ahead and get all the different communities by that specific type. So like, let's say we put in sports, so get all the communities that have sports with no other subcommunity, all the communities with sports and football, soccer, so on and so forth. And then if they actually passed in like sports football here or American football, we'll go ahead and grab those as well. So there is kind of get them by type and subtype. And it looks like let's see here, copy pasted that one twice. So we can go ahead and ignore that. Whoopsie daisies. Oh, nope. This one is this one is communities. So public list and then community. I don't remember what we use this one for versus the other one. We'll see. Get community by type, oopsie daisies, type and subtype, just like that. And it's going to be very similar. So community type and type, if I could type, and community subtype, there we go. So it's going to be very, very similar once again. So say list of community, and this is going to be community repositories, or communities is equal to community repository. If I could type community, oh my goodness, dot find all by community type, pass in that type, and do the same exact thing basically. So if not subtype dot equals, and we'll go ahead and say community subtype dot none. So if that's the case, we'll go ahead and say communities dot stream, like so, dot filter, and then here community dot get community subtype dot equals, and then we'll go ahead and pass in that subtype. So we'll go ahead and get those, and then dot map. Did I do these backwards? I might have done these backwards. I did these backwards. So this one should be get communities, and this one should be get community post. I did these, name these backwards, but that's fine. Dot map, and then here we're going to say community dot set, and actually let's do this properly, community, and then community dot set, and then community post, and then let's go ahead and set that to a new hash set, so we're going to have access to all this stuff anyway. And we're going to say dot, let's make sure we do this as well. We're going to go ahead and open this and then close this, make sure we do this properly. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that we don't have any infinite loops, and then we're going to go ahead and say return community, and then we're going to go ahead and say dot, wait a second, I'm so confused. No, wait, I did have it right. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm all over the place. Get community post, because we do map that, and then get community. Thing is communities. This whole mapping kind of threw me off here. Dot select. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place, y'all. Selectors dot to list. All right, and then we'll go ahead and just return communities. I don't even remember what we actually used this one for versus the other one, but we need to make sure that we don't break this. We don't infinite loop. We grab the post later on, so that's why we're setting this to a new hash set, but I don't know that this part is actually necessary here. It is what it is. All right, so now we can go ahead and come down to where we're updating, and then we can go and add or remove a community member. So we're going to say public community, and then this one's going to be add or remove. Add or remove, and then community member, like so. Here we're going to have an integer and community bucket type, community ID, and we're also going to have a integer user ID. We're going to have a boolean is mod, so are they going to be a moderator? Here we're going to say community is equal to this dot get community by ID, or throw exception, pass in that community ID. We're going to go ahead and say application user is equal to user service, user service dot get user by ID, pass in that user ID as well. Cool. And then we're going to say set of application user, and this is members is equal to community dot get community members. We're going to say set of application user, and this one is going to be mods equal to community dot get community, if I could type, community moderators, like so. If maybe is mod, so we're going to check to see if they're a mod first. We're going to check to see if our mods dot contains, and then contains that user. If that's the case, we're going to say mods dot remove said user. Otherwise, we'll say mods dot add and said user. So we either want to replace them or add them, basically. Community and then dot set community moderators, go ahead and pass in that mods. So if they're not a mod, we're going to go ahead and say else if members.contains. If it already contains that user, we'll go ahead and make sure we say if here. So if the user exists, but we're trying to remove them, we'll say members.remove, and then go ahead and pass in that user. Otherwise, we'll go and add said user. Otherwise, we'll say members.add, pass in that user, just like that. And then here we can go ahead and say community.set community members. So pass in those members. Then finally, we'll go ahead and return our community repository .save, and then pass in that updated community. So once again, logic is pretty simple here. We're just going to go ahead and check to see if they're supposed to be put into the mod, do that, so on and so forth. And I feel comfortable doing it this way because the user needs to be added to community first, and then they can later on be added as a mod. So they're going to do it in two separate steps. We'll add them to the community, or you join the community basically. And then if the members or the moderators, whatever the community, feel comfortable with you being mod, they can also add you to the mod list. We're almost done here. Let's go ahead and do one more for Git here. So we're going to go ahead and say public and a list of community like so. And this one's going to be Git users communities. I could type communities like so. It's be an integer and user ID. So first we're going to say application user, and this one's going to be user is equal to user service dot get user by ID. Pass in that user ID, and then we can go ahead and say set of application user. And this is just going to go ahead and be called user set is equal to a new hash set. New hash set. We probably could have like set.of, but whatever. And user set.add, pass in that user. Then we're going to go and return. And this is going to be our community repository. Community repository dot, and then find all by members in, and then pass in that user set. This will go ahead and get the communities that this specific user's in, and that should be good. And then finally, we'll go ahead and do one more public list of community, community, and this one's going to be called search communities, search communities, and this is going to take in a string of search term, and then here we're just going to go ahead and return our community repository dot, and then this one is going to be find all by community name and containing ignore case, pass in that search term, and there we go. So that is basically everything that we have inside the community service. I'm sure I typoed something or broke something somewhere, so that's going to be fun to debug and figure out what's going on there. But next, what you go and do is create a couple more DTOs for making these requests, and then we can go ahead and also try to paste in all of the different generated communities and try to play around with some of these. So let's go ahead and first make our first DTO that we need. So go put this DTO, and then it's going to be add or remove, and then community member and request. Go and hop in here. So for add or remove, we need a private integer or community ID first. Community ID. We need a private, oh my goodness, private integer and user ID, and then a private boolean, and then this one is going to be is mod. I actually don't even know if we have these set up in Postman or not. We'll see. Let's go ahead and do our constructor. Constructor with nothing. Go ahead and do a constructor with everything. Okay, and I messed up. Try again. Constructor with everything. That's better. And then we'll also go ahead and do getters and setters. We'll also go ahead and do a toString for the heck of it. There we go. Base CF to format it. And cool. Now we also need one for discovery. So let's go ahead and say space JC once again. Put this in our DTO package. Here we'll go ahead and call this discovery and community. I'm pretty sure I should call this discover. There we go. Community by type request. And here we need a private and community type. And we'll go ahead and call this community type. We need a private community subtype. Go and import that. Call this community subtype like so. Go ahead and do our constructors. So constructor with nothing. Go ahead and do a constructor with both in it. Go ahead and do our getters and setters. Go ahead and do our toString like so, and then format it, make it look nicer, and save it up. So those are the new DTOs we need to actually make said request. So now let's go ahead and go through and actually add these requests to our controller. Now inside of our community controller, we're going to go ahead and add some more GET requests primarily. So add GET mapping, packet type. This one is going to be /discovery. So inside .discovery, we have a public list community. Here we're going to go ahead and say GET communities for discovery, packet type. There we go. So this one is going to return our community service dot and then GET communities for discovery. And I technically typoed that, but it is what it is. Next one at GET packet type mapping to /. There we go. And then discovery /post. Here we're going to say public list, and this is going to be our community post. Here this is going to be GET community post for discovery. We probably need to go ahead and import our community post. We'll deal with that in a second. Return community service dot GET, and then this will be community post for discovery. So I'm import our community post here, and then we need to go ahead and say at can't type at GET mapping to /, and this is going to be user/ID. So it's going to be get a specific users communities, basically the public list, and this one is going to be community. Here we're going to say GET communities, and I think I spelled it right, communities, and user is in at path variable. Go ahead and call this ID, and then integer ID. Close that. Here we're going to go ahead and return community service dot GET community what do we call this? GET user communities, I believe. Yep, GET users communities. Go ahead and pass in ID, and let's make sure we do this, and let's also call this user ID for consistency, and user ID. Name that one slightly differently, but it is what it is. So now let's go below our post mapping. Here we're gonna have an at new post mapping, at post mapping to /, and this one is gonna be discovery /search / and then here we're gonna say search term. Here we're gonna say public list community, and here we're gonna say GET communities searched, and we have an at maybe at path packet type variable. I don't know why you did a post mapping here, to be honest, but it is what it is. Oh, this should be a GET mapping. I just put it in the wrong spot. GET mapping. We'll fix this in a second. I'm all over the place here. Path variable is going to be search term, and then string search term, like so. Return our community service dot, and then this one is going to be search communities. Pass in that search term. Do this. I want this one up with our GET mapping, so let's bring it up here. There we go. And then we do a post mapping. I just got a little ahead of myself here. So at post mapping / and then this one is going to be discovery / post / type. Okay, and here public list of community post. Here we're going to go ahead and say GET community post by type at and request packet type body. Request body is going to go ahead and be discovery. Oh my goodness, cannot type discovery, and or discover community by type. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry y'all. Request, and I probably still typoed something. Body. Let's see if we can import this. Discover community by type request. I think that's spelled properly. It is. Just need to bring it in. Return community service dot, and then this is going to go ahead and be GET community community. Can't type community post for discovery, I believe. or by type and subtype. So type is going to be body.get community type, and this one is going to be body.get type community subtype, and then we need another post mapping for just type at post mapping. It's going to be slash discovery slash and then type like so, public list, and this one is going to be community like so. It's going to be called get communities by type. Once again at request body. Gotta do the mouthful again. Discover community by type request body return community service dot, and then this one is just get communities by type or subtype body.get community type, and then it's going to be body.get community subtype, just like that. And then finally we need a put mapping at put mapping, and this is going to be slash user. This is going to be adding or removing user, public, and then community. Here we're going to say update users, and then here we're going to have an at request bucket type request. Oh my goodness, I need to take a break this morning. Request body, add or remove community member request, call it body. We'll return our community service dot add or remove community member, body.get community ID. Go ahead and say body.get and then user ID, and then body.get is mod. There we go. No errors. Compile successful. Terrific. So this episode is probably going to be a little bit shorter, but it is a little bit more all over the place. So now all I want to go ahead and do is let me open up GitHub. Let's go ahead and throw in the resources so we have some communities to play with, excuse me. So we come into our resources in our data.sql. I'm going to scroll to the bottom here and I'll be right back. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to GitHub and grab a bunch of random communities and stuff that I created. That way we have some data to play with here. All right, so I have basically generated a community for each type and subtype. So I paste this in, scroll to the top here, and we can kind of look into these, and then we'll go ahead and save and restart and all that good stuff. Hopefully I didn't typo anything. So like I said, if these don't match our tables, it'll break, and then that'll be fun. But basically what we have here is we have our communities, and then we basically just have a community type and stuff like that. So we have our sports none. The rules are all the same. This is what I was talking about with the hashtag. So like I just copy paste this. I try to make it a little bit longer for the UI, but it doesn't really do anything. So unfortunately, like this is basically useless. Before I push it up to the GitHub, I'll probably and send this to you guys, I'll probably delete these, but this is basically what's going on in here. And then let me scroll down and show you guys how we're kind of inserting posts and all that stuff. So after we generate these communities, I basically contacted ChatGPT to create these inserts to help me insert random users, because I'm not as good at SQL as I used to be. But basically we have one for inserting random users. We ensure that we go ahead and add in that user that created it and add them in the mod list and all that stuff. So this one will randomly insert like up to 20 users or something like that. This one will also insert up to like 4 or 5 something random moderators. Then we also go ahead and insert 100 random posts. So every time you restart, it will be slightly different. But what I was doing before is either trying to do it in the application Java file, and that was not working because it randomly just was saying, hey, I can't find the post anymore, or there's other issues. So this is the easiest way to do this, and it stays the same until you restart. So that's great. This is going to be in the description. I'm going to put it inside of a file on the free, like whatever it's called, our free resources that I do give out for this. You guys can copy and paste this so you have the same data as me. But now let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and hop into the application console and restart it so we can actually see those changes. Hop into Postman and I'll play around a little bit. We're not going to do anything too crazy here. I'll just try a couple endpoints and whatnot. Okay, so I did typo create timestamp column created underscore TS of relation communities not exist. So it looks like I typoed. Let me double check our community model from last episode. I might have typoed. Yes, I did. Okay, let's fix that. Let's go into our models. So here, let's come up here. I accidentally called this created instead of create timestamp. So these small things that it's not worth it to me to go through and rewrite all of those SQL statements. So I'd rather just go through and fix the small typos that I made in the class or the column name. So let's see if I broke anything else here. Cool, I didn't typo anything else. That's why I was saying earlier, it's very important that you make sure you don't typo any of that. So now we come back into Postman and we get all and hit it. We should have like 20 or 30 in here. So now we have a bunch of random ones with random users, all of that good stuff. So now what we can go ahead and do is we can do our discovery. So basically discovery is just going to go through and randomize the different things. So now instead of like community 1 at the top, we have community 25, so on and so forth. It's formatting taking a second. If we do discovery post here, this is going to go ahead and return them as like post. So we send this, it's going to get the top 100 posts, not really top 100, it's going to get 100 random posts. You can see here we have post 83 or 832, have post 536, and this post is connected to community ID 7. That's kind of like how that's going. If we do search, we can go ahead and search here. Let's go ahead and search for like, whoops, football. I think this should work. You can see that we got community ID 2, so that's the only one that shows there. So it should be inside of here, American football, so on and so forth. If I go ahead and say like sports, I don't know if the thing is, I don't think I have sports. No, yep, it is actually I have sports, just kidding. So we have sports. That's interesting that it only showed up as one. Oh, you know what? It might be name instead of description. So that might be something you want to like expand, because community name is sports. So it only came back as sports. That makes sense. It's based off community name. So now let's say that I want to join this community called American football. So if I go and search for like football again, imagine you're doing this like on the front end, search for football. Okay, it's community ID 2. So let's say we want to go ahead and add myself to community 2. We'll go to our body. So we'll say community 2. We'll go ahead and say that we want to add myself 5 and send. So now we should be able to see that community creator and now community members. There's a bunch of random members in here. We can see that we have myself and it's a set, so it's not going to be in the same order. Then let's also say that now I'm going to go ahead and be part of the moderators. So we go ahead and take a look at this. Community moderators has 82 right now, 88, 47, and 64. So there's like 4 or 5 in there. So now if we go ahead and say true, I'll be a moderator of this and send it in, sends it back. So now I should be in this list I can see here. Cool. And then there's a few other ones that we're not going to quite touch just because I don't really think we need to at this point. We'll kind of see them in the front end. These are kind of like the big ones. So if you did enjoy, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out here with the YouTube algorithm. If you want to see we start from absolute scratch again to the point now, there's going to be a playlist and end card coming right up. That being said, y'all, this has been Ethan on Koder. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.